put a squad together.
How much then?
A small squad. 5, maybe 6 guys.
Going up against 40? Well, you gotta die of something.
Gangster Squad, a new police film set in Los Angeles, is due out next week. And if it looks real and if it feels real, that's because, well, there is a real LA cop behind it. Don Steinberg is in Philadelphia. He's been exploring this film and he's with us now. Don, tell us a little bit about the writer's background who wrote Gangster Squad.
Yeah, the guy who did the screenplay, it was a Los Angeles cop working in gang and homicide units for about 10 years, named Will Bale. So he was a pretty good guy to get to write about LA gangsters.
Is that unusual to have someone in the LAPD who gets into the Hollywood scene? I mean, they're so close, and you know, the LAPD is often featured in Hollywood. How unusual is it for one of the cops to sort of take a stab at writing?
Yeah, I was surprised that it doesn't happen all the time, because everybody thinks their life should be a movie, and I would think a cop even more so, and Hollywood is right there. It's happened occasionally. You know, Joseph Wambaugh, the great crime novelist, was an LA cop, and so was Gene Roddenberry, who created Star Trek. He was an LA cop. So these guys, you know, I think they have a little bit of an eye for the dramatic, and a few of them do break out and go to Hollywood.
What kind of liberties did he take in writing Gangster Squad? I know it was based on a series of articles in the Los Angeles Times, but tell us a little bit about how he embellished, added his own flair.
Well, it's funny, because here's a guy who's a real cop, but he appreciates what makes a good movie. There's a book out called Gangster Squad, which is the nonfiction version of what really happened. The movie is, you know, he keeps the names, he keeps some of the ideas, but he just kind of makes up the rest. It's a fun story. It's kind of almost like a comic book version of the story.
And you've seen the film, and it opens with sort of a very gruesome scene.
Well, the idea, in a sort of a comic book way, we have a super villain at the beginning. So it's Sean Penn playing Mickey Cohen, who is a real gangster in LA, and he has a guy basically kind of torn apart by 2 cars pulling his body apart. So yeah, I mean, we get a really bad guy, then we get a really good guy, and Josh Brolin plays this kind of super cop, and they put together this force to kind of good versus evil, white hat versus black hat, and then it's just ready, go.
Why do you think Los Angeles, the police department in Los Angeles, makes for such good heroes in films? Is it because, I mean, are they often just in reality outnumbered, the cops, by the number of gangsters that are on the streets, Don?
Yeah, you know, I think LA has its own look and feel and vibe, and it was kind of a frontier, you know. I mean, even when the Old West was done, they still went west to LA, which was kind of the final frontier, where there were all these battles over land and water, and the cops were trying to keep the gangsters from coming west. So there's, you know, whether it's been the sort of vintage gangster movies that this movie and LA Confidential depict, or the newer stuff, and with all the scandals in the department and shows like The Shield and movies like Training Day, there's been plenty of material to work with.
You mentioned LA Confidential, Training Day. Give us 1 or 2 others of your favorite films that you think are notable that have starred the LAPD in there.
Well, it started with Dragnet, which was the TV show that kind of made the department look great, and the department cooperated with Jack Webb to create that, and also the show Adam 12. You know, last year we got End of Watch, which was kind of this Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena driving around filming themselves, and that was pretty cool. I did just rewatch LA Confidential, and that was just such a great film, such a solid movie.
All right, Don Steinberg, thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot, Wendy.